Alright, so for those of you just tuning in, welcome to this week's Forgotten Empires community livestream. My name is Resonance22, and I'm proud to be the community manager for Forgotten Empires. Forgotten Empires is the game development company behind the new expansions for Age of Empires 2 HD Edition on Steam. I'll be hosting a live stream here every week, and if you follow us on Twitch and YouTube, you will get updates on when we're streaming next, and you'll see any streams that you missed on the YouTube page. It's a great place to learn more about development, as well as just ask us questions about the game, but I have to give you vague answers on the possibility of future features or content, so without further ado, good luck, have fun. I was playing some Age of Mythology music during the break, and I think most of us can agree, maybe not all of us, but personally at least, I feel like Age of Mythology is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard for a game. It feels like almost the perfect RTS soundtrack. It's really just a work of art. And so, into the game itself, this is a high-rated game. It's going to be 3v3 on MegaRandom, so some of the top players in HD. We have Telemachos playing as the Blue Burmese. He will be teaming up with Fitchel, our Green Goss player, and Pete, our Yellow Berbers player. On the opposing team, we have Sleepy Swede playing as the Red Vikings, Aoe2 playing as the Teal Khmer, and Earth Shogun, aka Meister H, playing as the Orange Khmer. So, is that double Khmer action? Alright, we get to see it. And this is a Nomad-style map, so players do not start with the town center. It looks like they do spawn on their respective sides of the map. So blue, yellow, and green are all adjacent to each other. And on the opposing side of the map, we have the red, teal, and orange team all on their own respective sides too, which is great. The video says the whole Age of Empires series has incredible soundtracks. I can't tell if I prefer Aoe3, AOM, or Aoe Online. I haven't listened to the Aoe Online soundtrack. Is it good? Oh god. I feel like I really missed out on that game. That's something I should really check out. Yeah, the entire Age of Empires franchise just has amazing music, and the man behind it, of course, is our god, Stephen Rippey. Yes. Huge fan of his work. Mr. M. Legs says, good job, Resons. Keep the great work. Love your work. Thank you so much, Mr. M. Legs. It really makes all the work I put in worthwhile. Thank you. I don't know what kind of AOM unit I'd bring to Aoe, but I'm a huge fan of Age of Mythology. Aoe Online had a soundtrack for every Civ. Oh, that sounds so good. God, I gotta check out that soundtrack, man. Sounds good, Dota Pro Gamer. Garkiv, that's the type of thing where, like, if that was gonna happen, you would hear an announcement about it. But unfortunately, in the live stream, like, you're probably not gonna find any sort of juicy gossip about it. Personally, I hope that Microsoft does an Age of Empires 4 at some point, but I don't know when that would happen. I really feel like they should, though. That would be... I mean, I would buy it. The question is, what would it be like? What would Age of Empires 4 be like? What do people want to see? I think the general consensus from, obviously, browsing the community and playing here for... Oh my god, I'm old. I've been playing this game for a long time. I think the general consensus is most people don't want Age of Empires in space or World War II, although I have seen some suggestions for that. I think people wanted to see it more in the Aoe 1, Aoe 2 timeline, but everyone I think has different opinions and expectations for where Age of Empires 4 would fit. I've seen a lot of suggestions for it being in World War I, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think the thing that would matter the most to me, I feel like this is just a purely personal thing, is that I think I like the Aoe 1, Aoe 2 timeline the most. I would still play it if it was World War I for sure. And what matters the most to me, though, is the gameplay. I mean, I don't mind if Aoe 4 is in space with unicorns and llamas, llamas wearing armor or something like that, little swords in their mouths. I really, as long as the gameplay, I feel like it feels like Age of Empires. You know, I look at Age of Empires 1, Age of Empires 2, Aoe Online, and Age of Mythology as just gameplay that I really, really enjoy. And I feel like Age of Mythology did a really good job feeling like an Age of Empires game, but also being like a fresh take on the gameplay. I know a lot of people really like Aoe 3, and I like it a lot as a game too. I do. I played so much Age of Empires 3 when I was a kid. But it felt very different from Age of Empires. It didn't feel that much like an AoE game to me. That doesn't mean it was a bad game. I actually really just loved it. Loved it to death. It just didn't remind me that much of the previous games in the franchise, so... Personally, I would hope that Aoe 4 felt more like the others, but really, I'd play it anyway. I want more Age of Empires content. I'm a ravenous guy. We feel like Elephant Archers are mostly fine right now, Tokuraka, as Once again, a unit with very pronounced strengths and weaknesses. Not to say we're not going to make any changes to it, but I'm really happy with the balance changes the Decision decided on previously, giving them ring archer armor, making them just a bit weaker HP-wise, and then reducing their cost, thus making it so they're viable in a wider variety of situations, because otherwise the elephant archer is too expensive to ever really use, and when they got massed up, you just couldn't kill them. So now we're in a situation where they can be killed, and they're much easier to mass up, and I feel like the elephant archer is type of unit where I have to be very careful about buffing it, as, you know, it's like the ballista elephant, it could end up being very oppressive if left unchecked. Once it gets massed up. The ballista elephant we also feel like is a unit where it's easier to answer than people give it credit for. It's just a bizarre, a truly bizarre unit type. So I feel like a lot of players are still getting used to the fact that it's like a cavalry and a siege weapon, so it's weak to everything. JJ asks, don't you stream on your Twitch account anymore? Yes, I stream on my Twitch account all the time, JJ. All the time, man. Yeah, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to it there to support all the work I do. Just because I'm streaming here now doesn't mean I never stream on my personal Twitch page. I stream on my personal Twitch page more frequently than here. That's just that I have to put food on the table, so gotta do some work. So I stream here as well. In addition, of course, I do stuff on my personal page. And I also do work here because I'm a huge fan of the Forgotten Empires team, and I just want to support my favorite game that has defined my childhood and most of my life thus far. I want to stream Littorio. Indeed, it is a shame that we cannot play AoE online anymore, although I do believe that there is some sort of unofficial way to do that. The problem is, it's a shame that most of the people disliked Age of Empires Online for the graphics and never discovered the true spirit. Yeah, it's a game that I honestly did not... I really regret not playing it, because, yeah, it looked too different to me, and I had no idea that... Everyone tells me that the gameplay is just... is he trying to block that with a sheep? That'd be so sick if he could do that. Really don't blame him for losing this Ville here, as honestly, like, that was a really difficult board lord to do, so I think I would have done the same thing. Yeah, I regret not really playing AoE Online. Everyone tells me the gameplay was actually just excellent. Leo says, probably the Indians need to nerf from the Ville cost. So that's an interesting point. I am not sure what our plans are for the Indians, but that's something that, personally, I am really keeping an eye on, as the Indians' economy is very, very strong. And if we were going to nerf the Indians, I would probably look towards that, as I feel like maybe it was a little much. But I don't know. I don't know, because we don't really get that much of an indication of the competitive metagame from the escape tournaments due to their very niche settings, with, you know, the civilization bans, limited civ pools, and map picks, and the pros still getting used to it, so it's difficult to get a picture there, but it's something that I'm going to watch very carefully, yes. However, Archer says, I left a civ idea on your stream video. It took me 2 weeks of custom testing on a scenario for a civ called Red Indies. On my stream video? Make sure I see that, because that's something I'd like to give it a look, of course. We spent 2 weeks of time on it. Make sure that I see it. If it's like on my I'm live streaming video now, then I usually just delete that after the stream is over, so I might miss that. So make sure I see that. Yeah, we did some noob games earlier in the day. Noob Buster. Tika the Pika says, if you look in Northgard, it's like AoE Online mixed with Aoe2. Sure. Okay, apparently you can play an offline version of it through the editor and not online. I see. Yeah, I think the Indians are a really just nice civilization right now. The question is whether or not they're a little too strong, but I don't think they're, like, weak. Or maybe they could honestly be just fine as is. Balance is a constantly iterating process, so we're always just looking into that. In terms of the actual game itself, this is Nomad, of course. The players don't start with the town center. Usually during the start of the game, I like to just answer people's questions, make everyone feel involved, do that community thing, and then we'll talk a little bit more about actual game strategy once players build up, because right now it's just a purely economy stage of things. Everyone, of course, being very greedy and delaying Loom as much as possible, so some players losing villagers here and there. Of course, if you delay Loom, you basically have an extra villager in the early game, but you do have to make sure not to lose any villagers there. Bolero asks, are the Ethiopians any good? They're one of my favorite civilizations, personally. I think that they're actually, like, perfectly balanced, or very close to. Personally. I think they're very good. Northgard is Vikings meet settlers. Interesting. Look, before you delete the video, it's under Neil Chaman. I would recommend that you just post it again. perhaps on the video that is uploaded later today. That way I can take a better look at a cavalry archer. But yeah, this is great to see players across the community theory crafting on things they would like to see in the game. It's just, we have such a dedicated community that's so attached to the Age of Empires franchise. Like, that's why I spend all of my day working on this game. Yeah, I've been playing it since I was 7 years old, and I still play it today. This game's from 1999. I've been playing it since then, though I was too young. But, yeah, it's just, people are so very passionate about this game. Everyone here loves Age of Empires. Sajid says, would you please think about making the mill a 2x2 or 3x3 square so we can have perfect farms? Oh man, Sajid. I feel ya. When I was a kid, I was very... the realism aspect was super duper important to me. And, you know, I needed my base to be super neat. Basically, if it didn't look like someone could live there, I couldn't play there. So I needed to make my base all nice and tidy. And it's very difficult, yes, to make your base super tidy, considering that the mill is not the same size as a farm. Same thing with the town center. It's difficult to surround it perfectly, so... No, we're not going to make that change, because obviously we prioritize gameplay and history first, but man, the OCD in me would love that. You but asked, why don't the Teutons get husbandry? Mostly because with their discounted farms, we believe that the original developers feared that their economy was actually so strong that if you give them husbandry, it might push them over the edge with their knights and their paladins late game. The Teutons are a civilization I've talked about in the last video, which I'll post on the Forgotten Empires YouTube page soon, that they might be a little bit underrated. Giving them husbandry might push them over the edge. There's also something that just differentiates them as a civilization. I don't think it would make or break them if we gave them husbandry back, but I don't know if they need it. It's a thought. It's a thought. It is possible to place farms perfectly, though, and that's always such a cathartic thing to see whenever I see a screenshot of that. It is possible. Just take some clever planning. Sick Leopard asks, I'm old, I know how long it's been around. Yeah, this is, and yeah, this game has aged so well, hasn't it? And there's so many people that still play it today. I think that's a testament to how good this game is. I mean, I always tell people, and I tell developers and game companies all the time whenever I get to talk to them, any major company, that I'm a firm believer that the RTS genre is in decline, not because RTS games, no one wants to play them. I think it's because developers forgot how to make good RTS games. Look how many players this game has. That's because it's really good. I'm still playing this game today instead of most of the modern games. I still, of course, play quite a few of them, but I still play this game today because nothing really scratches that Age of Empires 2 itch. And I don't think it's because modern games can't do that. No, that's ridiculous. I just think it's that modern games, for some reason, are not doing that. They forgot all the things that made Age of Empires 2 so good. And I would kill to see a modern RTS game or like an Aoe4 that remembers why the old Age of Empires games were so popular, and they still are. Now, 1 second, let me take care of this guy real quick. What is, boom. RTS games also lack esports support, but. I mean, we have StarCraft 2, but there's just not enough good, popular RTS games out there. StarCraft 2 had a ton of esports support, and really, just developers, I feel like, have lost the courage to give that a shot. I think if you have a good game, the esports typically come with it, not always, but typically does. Like, Age of Empires 2 has a fairly large esports scene. It's obviously not as big as anything like League of Legends, but, you know, it's respectable size, and I'm a firm believer that something like that could happen again. You build the game, people will come. Flizao asks, what does Aoe2 have the current RTSs do? That's a great question. That is a really good question. And the answer is it's complicated. I could easily make a series of videos on it. And I might at some point. I've just been so busy with work. This is a full-time job, and I have to manage my personal pages too. As well as try and have a small degree of a life. So it's a tricky business. The TLDR, I think, is that for some reason modern RTS... Well, I know why. I talk to major game companies about this all the time. And whenever I get the opportunity to, I'm shilling for a classic old-school RTS game. Like, that's my... I figured it out. That's my calling in life. I go up to people's doors at night and I ring the bells. Do you have a moment to talk about Age of Empires 2? I hand them a copy of the game. It's a lot of things, and I know why they've shifted away from this, and I always have that debate. I welcome it. One of the things is that modern RTS games typically have simplified the economic aspect of the game a lot, and I'm not going to go too much into this because we are seeing some little night raiding and whatnot, which is quite interesting. They've really simplified the economy side of things. I don't really like that they've done that. I feel like the base building / economy side really makes RTS games fun, and a lot of modern RTS games, they've basically, they've neutered the base building aspect of it, they've neutered the economy aspect in favor of purely like a military-focused, micro-based, really fast RTS. Also, this game is slower paced, various things like that. The base building particularly, I feel like particularly is really fun. Because a lot of modern RTS games are not fun to play, in my personal opinion. Of course, this does not represent the feelings of the company, although I would love to hear what Cision thinks personally. I do talk to Cision and Alex and whatnot, and Shep about this stuff all the time. Is that the base building aspect and whatnot, Age of Empires 2 is the type of game, I feel like it's so timeless and so popular because this is a game that's fun to play if you're bad. And I feel like and this is something that a lot of modern competitive games are guilty of, not just modern RTS games, I feel like, but they have created gameplay that is competitive first rather than fun, and we end up in a situation where if you're bad, the game's very unforgiving and it's difficult to enjoy it. Age of Empires 2 is the type of game where you can play it hilariously wrong, as I did when I was a kid, and still really enjoy yourself and never really know. I spent so much time as a kid just building the most elaborate, neat-looking base possible, and I had fun doing it. And when modern RTS games move so far away from aspects like an interesting, in-depth economy or base building, and they just focus purely on the military, I feel like the game becomes less approachable or fun for casual players. One could easily make the argument that things like, managing the economy and building your base are not intuitive for new players, and we want to encourage new players to start playing the game the correct way right away, but I say the game should be fun to be played the wrong way, too. But, it's a complex debate. Yeah, also Aoe2 uses a system of soft counters and whatnot. I could talk about this for, like, 4 hours. Give me a TED Talk speech. I really like this game. Gmail Wallace, this is MegaRandom. Yes, soft counters, yeah, good on you, JT Lonely Knight. JT Lonely Knight, of course, watches my stuff all the time, so he's been around for my fun little passionate ramblings about why this game kicks so much butt, because it does. Arambai versus Knights is an interesting matchup, by the way, in that the Arambai does good damage versus the Knights, but you have to be very careful not let the Knights actually catch up to you, because actually both of those units had the same movement speed. Decision did end up, that was a conscious design decision on his part. I mean, that's true, Jazard. He says that now kids just build their own RTS in Minecraft with friends and imagination. Why can't I build my RTS game outside of Minecraft, in the game itself? I mean, I just don't understand why... No, I understand why big companies have moved away from it, but I think that they're not seeing the money. You build a good game, they will come. I think Fluzao. I have talked about it for hours. And I'm going to keep talking about it until... a major company comes along, this includes Microsoft, and is like, you know what? The Age of Empires franchise was really good. It's really popular. It makes a lot of money. We can do that again. There's nothing stopping us. The fans want it. The money is there. We know the people. It'd be difficult to pick them up again, but it's possible. Look at that damage. So here we're seeing the classic example of So the Arambai are actually very accurate at close range, which makes a very interesting dynamic versus the Knights, so cool to see that coming into play. That could be interesting, Sick Leopard. Hey, sorry, I think that the links are set to auto-delete. I don't know if I'll change that or not. We're really just trying to keep the chat pristine for Forgotten Empires here. But, I mean, you can find the soundtrack on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. Ender says, please do for our podcast, talking about everything Age of Empires. I'd love to. I mean, if they invite me on Talk of the Empire or something, I would love to be a guest there. And if I had some more free time, I would do my own podcast or something. Who knows? I have lots of plans for the future. Just gotta get through the work week and whatnot. A lot of night raiding going on. Urshogun might be a little bit behind economically, but it's just good to see him, Yeah, applying a lot of pressure here. He's got the camels. Oh, no, he doesn't. He's got the camels. Khmer do not have camels. Yellow and orange is too similar of a color. He's got bloodlines, though, +1 defense. He has to watch out for those Berber camels. And the Arambai also closing in. These two being very close to each other, protecting each other with castles and whatnot, is actually quite snazzy. I like the Arambai from Telemachos. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, yes, perhaps it's teal that's a little on the lower side of population. So 73 for Telemachos. We swap to teal. It's 64, so he's actually not that far behind. This game's actually quite close. But things are getting dicey. Will Orange drop that off? Yes, he will. Monk sometimes uses a counter to Huskarls, but really, yeah, he tried to drop it off a little bit too early, trying to get that conversion started. It's not great, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and nice, he does neutralize the situation. Fitchel is gonna look for opportunities to just raid this economy with those Huskarls. Huskarls are great for raiding because they just shirk off those town center arrows. Zubi says, to be honest, AoE isn't perfect. Oh, completely agreed too. I do not believe AoE is a perfect game either. I think that there's a lot to be learned from it, and I think it's incredibly fun, but I do not think this game is perfect. I think, you know, if you were going to make a modern version of it, there are some things that should probably be changed. But, no, I don't think it's a perfect game, no. I think it's very good. Yeah, it's a perfect base game, yeah, I would say, yeah. Good HD graphics, smoother building animations, fire. Yeah, I agree with you, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that Aoe2 would be a much bigger game if they had a really true HD remake. Like, I love the HD edition, and that's really what brought me back in the game, and given me faith that you know, the franchise is going to continue being supported, and I'm just tremendously happy that Microsoft is you know, going back to their beloved roots. But I feel like if this game had a super snazzy HD remake, then that would bring a lot of attention to it. And I don't mean making it, you know, hilariously bloomy and HD and it's like non-recognizable, but I mean like, you don't want to make it too flashy. It should still look like Age of Empires, but just really, really clean. Hopefully we see something like that someday. It could happen. Smith says, hey Rez, what's the reasoning behind not giving the Burmese the archer armor upgrade? So, that's something that I can ask Cision about, but basically the idea was he was thinking of like ways to differentiate the civilization from other civs, and yeah, he feels like it doesn't go against the AoE design philosophy to not give something the Castle Age blacksmith upgrades. He is very careful to try and carry on the legacy of Ensemble Studios and not go too far outside of that, and he doesn't believe that that necessarily goes outside of the old design philosophy there. And it's something that differentiates them as a civ. It's also another way to balance out the Arambai unit, something that, ooh, we should really focus down those Berserks. Oh no, oh, alright, he's fine. And just something, yeah, just to make the civilization feel unique. This allows Cision to put power in other areas by giving them one of the worst archer ranges in the game. Indeed, Ray Eagle. Here come the Berserks. Hello, Darklink as well. Let's see, I missed a question. Will I consider buffing siege towers? That's the type of unit, I'll answer this quickly, as we're seeing another battle here. That's the type of unit where I think we have to be very careful, because I think it would be impressive and unfun to play against if it was ever too strong. So I don't think we ever want siege towers to be like a mandatory meta force you see every game. No, I think they should be situational, because siege towers are hard to interact with for your opponent. And I feel like walls should feel like walls. It's a pretty binary unit. It's very difficult to balance. The 100 wood cost reduction, I think, was huge. I think that the siege tower is honestly pretty good right now, but it's a really situational unit, and that's just based off design. If we buff it too much, what's going to happen is you're going to see siege towers every game in Arena, and I think people will really not like that. But you're not going to see them elsewhere because it's such a niche unit. So, yeah, it's just, I think it's just based off the design of the unit, so it's something that we have to be careful about. Does that mean we're not going to buff them? We might, honestly, I will see. But it's just something to be careful with. It doesn't even need to be 3D unit graphics, U-Boat, but I know a lot of people are really attached to these. I mean, like, you come back in here, I know there are going to be plenty of people who will look at Age of Empires 2 and just love the way the graphics are, and I totally don't blame them, but... You know, on the other hand, I think quite a few people, at least the masses, would it'd be interesting to see, like, 30 FPS animations for all of the units, for example, like, just cleaner, more colors, a broader color palette. I know I love this color palette, too, don't get me wrong, but... You know, you could add an extra detail, you know, make things higher resolution. Really just... I mean, it's a beautiful looking game though still, which I feel like is also part of the reason why it's so popular, is this game just aged really well graphically. It was not, you know, it's some of like the best looking 2D graphics you can find, at least from a game in that era. Like imagine this, but with smooth FPS. Because it looks nice, doesn't it? Leo asked, just a question for Reddit, conduct heroes are a bit OP, best way to balance them? Again, there are many ways to look at that. And after all the nerfs to conduct heroes, they might be closer to where they need to be. But if they're OP, then we will make some changes. I'm not exactly sure what the best way would be to address that. I was in big support of nerfing the training time, because the fast Imperial conduct hero rush was generally the dominant way that they were abused. So maybe that's something that we would look at, because we still want them to be good. I mean, it's a team bonus, you know, they should be a strong unit. You have to pick the Italians on your team. That's one of the defining parts of the Italians. We want it to still be good. So maybe we would further adjust that, or slightly weaken the combat stats. Maybe making it slightly worse than champion in some situations. Maybe take like 5 HP off of it. Maybe nerf the anti-cavalry armor a little bit. I don't know. There are many ways to go about it that I don't think are necessarily wrong. Well. So, right now on the bottom side of the map, Pete on his... Okay, so he's in the Imperial Age right now. Telemacho's is almost there, and if we go to Shogun's perspective, he is just starting it right about now. It's a little bit of an awkward position here for Pete, as he wants to transition to things like Camel Archers, his one of the more optimal late-game units for the Berbers, due to their just raw, excellent combat stats. But he does, of course, have to be careful, because they're not that great against the Knights unless he has a bunch of these massed up, and he doesn't yet. He has Bracer, which is great, as he's not in the Imperial Age, so not that much in the defense upgrades here. But Shogun has been getting his upgrades in the right order, for maximum survivability, important for melee units. He's going to heal up some of his Knights. It's good. I feel like he could still be applying more pressure, but I think it's going to peter out. Like, Pete's in a little bit of trouble, but he has a huge economic lead, we can see from the score. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, there's a big battle going on over here with a ton of Huskarls from Fitchel. They are elite, max upgrades, as well as Teal sending in some Knights. This is usually when the Chimeras start to become a little bit awkward, as they're trying to get all their upgrades out, transitioning to the Imperial Age. That's where they have they fall a little bit flat in the power spectrum. I believe Telemachos right now is very likely researching the elite Arambai upgrade. Back with Huskarls is actually quite a potent combination of units, because you usually want your army to kind of balance out each other's weaknesses in the later stages of the game, when players have large enough economy to afford counters. All the systems in Age of Empires 2 are just fascinating. You know, it's just cool to see them all interact like this. So, we have the Arambai unit, which has 2 Pierce armor, so you would think that would be a decent amount, but remember the Burmese are missing all of the Archer armor upgrades past Pattern Archer armor, so that's pretty bad. And also this unit is incredibly inaccurate at range. I believe the Elite Arambai is only 30% accuracy at max range, and then 20% for the regular one. So that's really bad, which means that this unit is quite weak to ranged units. It's incredibly weak. Because the Arambai is best in close quarters, where the accuracy doesn't matter as much, and when they're all massed up, so ranged units are the way to deal with this. What beats ranged units? Huskarls. Huskarls are very weak to things like champions, of which Arambai just destroy. So this is such a powerful army comp. And Arambai are decent against buildings, but they can't beat castles. Huskarls sure can. Battle elephants, I think, are actually probably the appropriate answer here, so great to see that from Teal. As battle elephants, this is, oh my god, soft counters, yes. This game's so sick. So, battle elephants, I think, are a great answer here. I do. I think that they beat both the Arambai and the Huskarls, although I do think if you have enough Arambai, things can be quite dicey. Still kind of chew through them. We're going to need a little bit of a different support unit here from Red. I admire that he's living the Berserk dream. I'm assuming he has chieftains too, which does give him extra attack versus the Arambai. All infantry units. That was one of the cooler. Decision always surprises me, but I loved that change for the Vikings. I'm going to talk more about the game itself right about now. I do think that he should probably make something else. I think the Berserks are great versus the Huskarls, so nice to see that action, but I don't think that they will be good enough here versus the Arambai. So I'd like to see maybe some Arbalists mixed in here. One of the other things is that, and this is a common misconception that I tried to clarify in my Vietnamese civil review, is that even though battle elephants do beat the Huskarl really nicely, from a cost efficiency standpoint, if you're playing versus the Goss, like elite battle elephants, especially as the Vietnamese, will really screw you. It's still sometimes something that you have to use, but the problem is that battle elephants are so expensive, and if the Goss player mixes in some halbs with his Huskarls, he's going to actually beat your battle elephants from a cost efficiency standpoint at a massive level. I'm not saying that the Battle Elephant is a cost-inefficient unit. That's not the case at all. In fact, it's one of the more cost-efficient ones in the game. It's just that that is not a cost-efficient fight to take. If you're making Battle Elephants to deal with, like, Huskarls plus Halbs, it's not a clean answer, because you're going to waste so much more gold than the Goths guy. So that's going to be really bad for you. So champions are what you usually want to make there, as a way to deter that. Now, you also still might want to make a couple Battle Elephants. That will sometimes be good. In a situation like this, though, the Khmer do not have champions. They only have 2 innate swordsmen, which is quite awkward. At least they have hand cannoneers. I don't think hand cannoneers are necessarily the answer here versus Arambai, but they're okay versus Huskarls. So I think that Battle Elephants makes sense to me. I like to see that. I do think Red should make something else, though. I feel like the Berserk's just not gonna do too much. Like, both of these units... I don't know, I would like to see some Arbalist. So, I probably missed a couple questions. Vida Liamunga asked, can you explain what the devs expect from Organ Gun and why it is not really played? So, the devs are of the impression that the Organ Gun is a stronger unit than some players may believe. Balance is, again, a complicated thing. The Organ Gun was, like the Condottiero, I think stronger than a lot of players initially believed. That being said, is it too weak now after the minimum range thing? Maybe, and if so, we will iterate and make some changes, but I'm not saying that we will, I'm just saying that if that turns out to be the case, you know, we're always having discussions. I'm not sure what the plans are for a future patch in that regard, but who knows. Always looking at the situation closely. I was surprised, too, that the Organ Gun, I guess it was just very difficult to counter based off the design of it, and giving it minimum range adds some counterplay. I don't know if that makes it too weak, though. Take the pill, the blue pill asks, the Maggers seem to be a civ that aren't really power civ in any situation. Do you think that's why they're not popular these days? I think that the Maggers are a better civ than people give them credit for, but they also might need some small buffs. They were honestly one of the best civilizations from the Forgotten when that was released, but since all the other Forgotten civs got huge buffs, Maggers may have fallen a little bit flat just for that reason alone. I think the Maggers are a decent civilization. I wouldn't buy too much in the hype, play around with it. They have a very broad tech tree, their unique unit's really good. You know, they have a decent scout rush, they have a decent night rush. They might still need a little something, though. And I think it's just because they just don't have, since now all the other Forgotten civs have such strong economies or something else that's really, really good, their lack of a true eco bonus is kind of biting them. So, and maybe their scout cavalry discount is not enough. Like, they just need a little something, maybe. Happy to answer your question, says Leo. Leo says, thanks for the answer. Oxen Prime says, hey, Res, new player here. How do you not fall behind on eco and upgrades while your army is in a battle that needs your attention? Hotkeys and lots of practice. Hotkeys and lots of practice. H to select a town center, C to make a villager. Control groups to select your armies, and just a lot of practice, my friend. Slice says, make the Persian elephants have the speed of eagle warriors. Oh my god. Beastmaster says, soft counters hing. You understand me. Sajid says, have you ever thought about adding extra things that give players an edge, like gathering relics and trading? I don't know what you mean, but we have a bonus already that says you reveal all relic locations, which really helps with collecting them. So yes, that's something that we do look at. So, what's going on here? There's no siege weapons in this battle. Looks like Green's actually out of gold. Or he's just making these to deal with the Battle Elephants. And I guess this is where the Berserks are good, because they just eat the Halbs. But this is when the Battle Elephants start to become really bad. We need some sort of support there. I would really like to see some Arbs or something. Because right now what we're doing is we're just feeding Tilamachos that score. With the Treb coming, though, we have some siege rams. So the siege weapons are indeed here. The siege rams are interesting because they actually do deal with the Arambai quite nicely, soaking up all those arrow shots as the Arambai dart. And any ranged unit tries to attack the unit closest to it after it gets a kill, so... having siege rams in the front, we see as oftentimes being a great deterrent to that. Right now, yeah, once again, like, there's just so much gold down the drain for Akeno, our Teal Khmer player. Like, sometimes you have to make these battle elephants, but you gotta be careful with it. At least as the Vietnamese and whatnot, I always recommend champions as an answer to Goths. Or maybe mixing like a couple of battle elephants. Here, though, he doesn't have that much of a choice. Really, he just needs Arb support, and the Khmer do not get Arbs, so... I mean, he can always make, like, Scorpions or something to deter the Halbs, so really, we're just gonna need some balanced army comps, I think. That's an interesting thought, Dota Pro Gamer. Maybe. Vitalium Ghost says, do you think Scorpions are viable at any stage in the game? Absolutely. And it's not a question of I think, it's a question of I know. So, The Scorpion, I mean, I have that Break the Meta episode with the Scorpion Rush, which shows one situation where they are good. They see incredibly fringe play in the Castle Age. I feel like as a unit, though, they might be a little too weak in the Castle Age, and maybe that's something he's tweaking. But in the Imperial Age, I think the players are just used to not trying Scorpions at all. Whereas heavy Scorpions, I think, can be very good. They're just devastating in choke points against massed armies of units with low Pierce armor. Like, they can be quite crazy as a backline range support unit. I think that the Heavy Scorpion is a good unit. It's not going to be good all the time, but yeah. I mean, we see a great example of this is in Deathmatch, where Mass Heavy Scorpions is very strong. Even as a way to deal with things like the Elite War Elephant. This just whittles them down. It does so much value in these large engagements, and I feel like it's just... Heavy Scorpion's underrated. As far as the regular Scorpion goes, I mean, Forgotten Empires gave them a +1 Pierce Armor upgrade, which I think helps, but I wouldn't be opposed to giving them a little something extra. But I do feel like the Heavy Scorpion is a unit that is pretty good. I think it's okay that it's situational. So Garaga asks, I like battle elephants, but what's the strategic importance of them? Well, because they're very different than war elephants. They're very different than war elephants. That's why I wrote that article for the Forgotten Empires website. This is what I'm talking about. Bingo, here's the Heavy Scorpion. So, this is why I wrote an article on it for the Forgotten Empires website to showcase just how different of a unit it really is. And I mean, if you look at the unit, the main similarity is that they're both elephants. And beyond that, that's really it. So, I'm going to just start going on the laundry list of reasons why it's a different unit. So for starters, it costs significantly less. That changes the dynamic completely. It also has like half the health and a lot weaker combat stats. It's also faster. So we're already talking about a radically different unit. In addition to that, it's created at the stable. This creates also a hugely different dynamic. That's created at the stable. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's weaker. The Elite War Elephant has such a slow speed in comparison. Also, all 4 of the new civilizations have very different styles of battle elephants. This is something the Decision really tried to do. Make them all feel unique in their own way. And with their unique technologies and civ bonuses, I really feel like each civilization does have quite radically different feeling battle elephants. So I think that the unit, like, definitely carries some different uses than the Elite War Elephant. The Elite War Elephant is a much bigger commitment, it's a much stronger unit, whereas the Elite Battle Elephant, it's cheaper, faster, weaker, and more differentiated. It's a heavy cavalry unit that is useful in like late game team games and whatnot, and you do see it in different situations because of that. You may even see the melee Castle Age battle elephants and whatnot, which you're not really likely to see that from the Persians just because the cost standpoint is so big. So, yeah. I feel like it's a different enough unit, but that's a fair point. Fabric says, how about a unit that can switch as an attack? I don't know how you would really make that clean to use, but I guess the code is there for Trebs, so maybe. Zufia says, since there are no main events for AoE, are you going to make a scoreboard for spectating? Oh, since there are so many. That's on the list of features that we hope Skybox makes. I can't make any promises at present. Ooh, nice cut. Nice. I can't make any promises at present, but we'd really like Skybox to do that, and we're asking for it, and I really hope to see it in the future. I don't know when, though. John Callius says one of the FE posts mentioned the devs are looking to make AI improvements for patch 5.x. I think that's 5. I'm going to get it wrong, so I shouldn't say it here. Yes, that is happening. John Kelly asks, can you expand on what kind of improvements they're looking to make? That's a little bit too far in the future for me to really talk too much about it, because I'm not entirely sure what is on the radar for that, because right now we're working on patch 5.2. And patch 5.2 is multiplayer performance improvements. Make the lag great again, or gone again, I guess. So that's the main focus. So I can talk more about the AI improvements as we move a little bit further in the future. Rock says, I agree with you when you said that the Rise of Rajas is different battle elephants. I find this to be similar to Meso-Eagle Wars. Oh yeah, I feel like we've done a really good job differentiating them. They feel kind of unique. I know that a lot of people look at the War Elephant and ask why this exists, but I think that if you cut the War Elephant in half, because the War Elephant is a really extreme unit, if you cut in half, then you do create a different unit. And I think that really only works because the unit is so, like, hilariously exaggerated. Like, the War Elephant's so expensive, it's so slow, it's so strong. Also, you know, the Malay, for example, have, like, really different feeling ones, because they have both, I think they have both Faith and Heresy, right? They're the only new civ that does. By the way, if you're struggling dealing with Chimera battle elephants and whatnot, or the ballista elephants, monks are the answer. Here comes the heavy scorpions. So heavy scorpions is something I should really use more often. I'm just accustomed to not doing it. But this unit, it's pretty nice. Look at it. Look at it as a support unit here, dealing with all of those halves. Dota Programmer asks, would you consider giving battle elephants some of the African civilizations? So Susan really wants to keep them to the new civs to not only differentiate the new civs, but also because the old civs have plenty of, toys to play with. For example, the Indians, giving them battle elephants would mean that they have imperial camels, elephant archers, so they already have an elephant unit, and then giving them another elephant. Same thing with the Persians. We certainly considered it, though, and this is one of the downsides of scorpions. They've been in range, gotta back them up. It's a consideration, but we feel like the African Kingdom civilizations all feel like they have fun tools at their disposal, and we would like to keep the battle elephants to the new civs to keep them unique. Sajid says, I meant like maps like having artifacts that give some edge. Oh, you mean like in Age of Mythology? I don't know if the capability is there in the data, but I suppose it is. Maybe, that's something I could bring up to them. Yeah, I mean, sure, yeah, we'll leave a message and see what they think about that, maybe as an alternate game mode. 2 words mounted petards. Can we have OP petards? I really want like a land demolition ship. Ooh, that onager shot from red, well played. So this didn't go anywhere, right? Yeah, no, it didn't, because there's castle. Well placed. Castle here from green. And scorpions paying dividends. Yeah, I really want like a petard for land units. I'm gonna keep lobbying for that. Because I think demolition ships create really fun, interesting gameplay. I mean, obviously you'd have to balance it out first, and you don't want it to be as fast as the demolition ship, but, it'd be fun. Darklink says, make the turtle disappear. I wish. Ray Eagle asks, could there be a buff to Karen bits? I believe they're not good for anything, really. If you watched the Battle for Angkor game 1 and 4, which maybe someone could link that in the Twitch chat for me, I think that at least the elite Karambit warrior is good situationally, even though I know that it seems impossible, right? That unit could possibly be good with combat stats that awful. But the fact it costs half population so cheap and is created so quickly makes it quite a nice late game rating unit and something that's good in like low eco situations. When you need an army in a pinch or you need to do some raiding. As for the Castle Age Karambit Warrior, I do feel like it was maybe undertuned a bit, and maybe could use a small buff. I remember Cision testing it with us, and Cision is a very aggressive player, actually. I know that we look at some of the changes and we assume that the FE team likes to boom, but no, Cision likes to rush. He likes his 1 TC super aggressive push, and he's very good at it. And I remember, seeing some actual like mixed success with like the castle drop into Karambit warriors in the Castle Age. So that's something that we were a little bit worried about as like a sort of rush strategy. But that being said, maybe it's a little too weak in the Castle Age. Because we saw that as well in the Escape Gaming Masters 2, I think, where they didn't really get to, like, even against monks, they couldn't kill the monks. It's only 5 attack. So we're looking at it. Reveal Hamster has anything in the pipeline for Rise of Raja's nerfs. So harbors have been nerfed so much that they actually saw no play at all in Return of the King. So again, we always ask people to keep an open mind. I mean, we have a bunch of balance changes in patch 5.2. Balance takes a really long time to figure out, hence we've seen metagame shifts in 1.AC without any balance changes at all. And you've seen the resurgence of men-at-arms, the decline in the extended feudal age flush going on for years. I feel like harbors are... It's really difficult to balance out the stone cost, I agree, but as a building, I feel like it's a lot weaker now, like a lot, after the last set of nerfs. I'm running out of voice. I don't know if the Caravel has failed its purpose. I feel like it's actually decent. But we haven't seen too many examples of it. I mean, we're still in such fresh Age of Empires territory. Oh yeah, sorry, I needed a mod to do that. I'm sorry, Green Drop. Maybe I should change the link thing in the chat, I don't know. Yeah, the Castle Age Karambit Warriors have so far not wowed me at all. We need to see more Portuguese water games or Caravels may be coming to play. For me to really know where Caravels stand. Make an elephant loaded with 200 kilograms of gunpowder, says X Sands. Speaking my language. Beastmaster says, any early rocket units, perhaps? Highly inaccurate but bigger splash damage? Like a long-range Arambai? I thought you were going to go the jetpack route, so I was ready to chuckle to myself, but, I mean, we kind of have the heavy scorpions with rocketry for the Chinese to kind of simulate that, but I guess it's not a early game unit, so, This is a long game. And with my very severe allergies, I've basically run out of voice. And coffee for the day, so we're in for a long run. If you've been enjoying the stream so far, we really encourage you to follow Forgotten Empires on YouTube. Links below on the live stream, so please do scroll down and give us a follow on Twitter and Facebook. And YouTube as well. We appreciate it. Middle of the map. There's going to be a focal point. One of the ways to break a stall is, of course, by cutting through the middle, so great to see red there, making an excellent play by trying to cut through the middle. And now green wants a piece of that action, but he's going to be sorely disappointed that there is indeed a gate in the way, and his Huskarls must walk up to it. We reach a stalemate. Somehow this is getting away with this. Has he made anything but Berserks this game? I mean, he's made Berserks and siege weapons. These guys really have no answer to this Arambai, which is why they can't push through here. I swear to God, the moment that we see some arbs, this army is toast, but I guess they're really paranoid about those elite Huskarls, and Berserks are much better than they get the reputation for. I think the Onagers, though, are good enough answers, so good to see Red making that. I think that's right as well, and the Teal with the Battle Elephant support. And these guys are establishing a trade line. One of the reasons, and that's what's keeping them sustained. In the late game, these team games, they just boil down to whoever can get in there and end that trade line first. And, well, cutting through the middle is one of the best ways to do that. Zudy says, I'd love to see the siege tower and the feudal age would be anywhere that's reasonable. I feel like that'd be very difficult to balance, so I'm not sure. Keller asks, will you add any more fun cheats from Aoe1? I can also ask them. I think that we have plans to add another cheat code, but it is not from Aoe1. Those are the type of things where it's like, right now we're really trying to focus on polishing the game, so adding cheat codes is a little lower in the priority list, but I'm always in favor of it. Sauron's Mund says, is the jetpack petard the new how do I turn this on? Oh yeah. Yeah, Mimic Caravel is decent, but, I mean, yeah, they should get destroyed by longbows. I think it's decent. But that's one I know a little bit less about, because we don't see that much of it. Certainly, I don't think it's OP. I think it's okay. And is that fine? We'll see. Hello, Buddha-sensei. Buddha-sensei asks, why are you not streaming today? You're streaming right now. Or are you asking me why I'm not streaming on my personal Twitch page today? Because I stream on my personal Twitch page tomorrow. Twitch.tv/Resonance22. Link below. Yeah, I'll be streaming there tomorrow. Live streaming schedule is there. Is this Keck asks, are the Vikings worth this on land? No, I don't think so at all, especially after all the changes and through the expansions over the years in the HD. I really feel like the Vikings on land are actually quite good. Chieftain's technology really rounds them out. The Vikings on land kind of struggle because they had no answer to heavy cavalry, but with Chieftains they sure do. Major props decision on that one. Buddha-sensei, I stream on my own page all the time. I'm streaming here today because it's my job. So, on Saturdays I stream on my personal page with some exceptions, and then on Fridays I stream on Forgotten Empires with some exceptions. The schedule will of course vary from time to time, based off my own schedule. So Jesus, this is a far-out thought. Have you considered giving the game an extra age of the Imperial Age later on? These are questions that we would consider if Forgotten Empires didn't have a legacy to carry. And I think it's a good question, but some of the decisions very mindful of, the rest of the FE team, is that, you know, what would Ensemble Studios do? And, you know, at night we pray to a picture of Stephen Rippey and his amazing soundtracks over the years, and we ask, what would Ensemble Studios do? What would Sandy do? What would Matt Pritchard do? And many, many more. And we feel like adding a fifth age to the game would just take away from the feel of that legacy, so very unlikely to happen. Maybe I'm the only one that prays to Stephen Rippey at night, but there's no shame in that, right? Buddha-sensei says, okay, I guess I have to follow this channel as well, since I love watching your streams, they have a calming effect. Well, thank you so much, Buddha-sensei. I'm really glad to hear that. I mean, part of the reason why I do what I do, besides me having to love this game a lot, is that I have typically lived a very high-stress kind of depressing at times life, and gaming has always been my escape. It's always been this thing that has brought me and my friends together and really just given my life purpose and a reason to smile. So games have just always been that thing that just makes me feel so very happy, and I wanted to share that joy with others. So I stream not only to showcase the games I love, like Age of Empires, Hearthstone, Pokemon, you name it, or whatever I happen to be playing at the time, but also just to provide other people an escape, a really friendly streaming environment where it's okay to be yourself, ask questions, and feel like you're at home. You know, a little break from the shenanigans of everyday life. Telling Ghost, has he ever considered the possibility of placing ranged units and walls and giving bonus defense? That's something that at least the Feudal Wars team was really considering for a while. Again, that might change the feel of the game, and it'd be kind of weird how that would work. Like, do the units on walls, can they be attacked by just ranged units, not melee units? Like, is that balanceable? Are you only putting archers on the walls? Is that fun gameplay? Is that clunky? Does it change the feel of the game? And I don't think there are clear answers to any of those. It's really an interesting idea. Hey, Dota Pro Gamer. Tori, I think, is a very difficult building to balance. Garkiv, mostly because it obviously generates infinite resources. I think that it's a unit that you can't... I already talked about this in a previous video, like 1v1 Frank's thing on the Forgotten Empires channel. You can't look at it purely from a cost efficiency standpoint, because it should be compared to villagers, but that's not the end-all be-all. You know, you can't look at things in a vacuum like that. Victoria grants you access to resources you otherwise wouldn't have. It's a lot harder to raid. It's a lot faster to build up. So it should not be as efficient as villagers, in my opinion. It should be slightly less efficient, though, and then it can still be good. I think that it's a really hard unit to balance, a building to balance, unless you gave it like a limit on how many you can have. I think it's most of an issue in higher population games. I don't really know how to fix that without limiting the total amount you can have of that, and I'm not sure if the rest of the dev team is willing to make that change. So I think they're most imbalanced in games like 500 population situations. I feel like it's in a much better spot now than it was before, and I really don't think it's OP anymore, at least outside of maybe 500 pop games or fringe situations. But that's something we can monitor for sure. Let's go full Stronghold on Aoe. Yeah, it's something that at least the Feudal Wars guys considered. But that game is no longer a thing, and I'm not affiliated with that anymore. This guy's got killed a darn trade liner. I'm gonna be here for so long, I'm just gonna pass out. It is exhausting sitting here being a host and answering questions for 3+ hours. Most streamers stream for a really long time because they are really just playing the game, and that's a little bit easier than making it like a host thing / a show. So this is tricky. I hope that they reach the trade line soon, and it looks like they're on their way on the top side. Feudal Wars is not a thing. I'm not affiliated with Feudal Wars anymore, Green Trub. So we can move on from that one. Came too long, balance is too good. Little Hamster, I clearly screwed up here, as at least when I play, I balance the teams really poorly for myself, but it appears I accidentally created a very good game of Age of Empires too. Shame on me. Why don't rams have attack modes versus ships so they can destroy them unattended on the shore? That's it. That's a good question. I am not opposed to the idea. It can be a little clunky to use, and I don't know if we want to change the... Look at all these bodies, oh my god. I don't know if we want to change the balance and feel of like old maps where stuff like that would happen, but I do think that ships are too strong on most of the Rise of Rajas maps with Mangrove Shallows, and that's one perhaps way to address that. So it's a thought. I'm not opposed to it. I think it's weird, but I'm not opposed to it. So all this raiding is a good thing. Pete really trying to end the game. This is another way to, you know, equalize the game, close it out, is by doing some raiding, getting that trade line, because that's what's going to end the game. Getting that trade line. Can they do it? They're actually making this push. And look at these Berserks. OP, OP, OP. Oh god, you guys ask hard, good questions. Shame on all of you for being very intelligent, well-informed people who ask such polite, interesting, thought-provoking questions. No, seriously, I love interacting with all of you guys, either on my personal pages or here. You're all really wonderful. Age of Empires is one of the best communities, and my only regret is that I don't have infinite stamina or infinite time to ramble here for hours, but that's what I do anyway. And we'll be doing more of that tomorrow. Oh! Tower Rush question is tricky. Done a couple videos on that one. I think the Tower Rush, there's a lot of counterplay to it. It's not something that's immediately straightforward for new players. But towers, at least not yet, and I hope this doesn't happen, at least not yet, towers cannot uproot themselves and walk somewhere else. There's no civ I'm aware of that we have plans to make that has moving buildings. That sounds insane. Let's keep it that way. So their mobility is really restricted, and then there's a lot of counterplay there with your own defensive towers, makeshift wall-offs, pulling off units of the base. I think it's an interesting strategy that's only really possible in a game like Age of Empires 2, where there are very few actual restrictions. It's another reason why I think this game kicks so much butt. You know, when I play StarCraft 2, they tell me, you have to build my assimilator on a Vespian gas geyser. Well, screw you, man. What if I want to build my assimilator in the middle of the map for no reason? And Age of Empires 2 tells me I can build it wherever I want. I don't have to build my town center on a settlement. I do like StarCraft 2 and I like Age of Mythology, but I also admire games like Aoe2 where, you know, if you wanted to, a map like Forest Nothing is possible. That's kind of crazy. You know, a map that's nothing but trees. You could actually just cut your way in the middle of here and just rebuild your base from nothing. That's something that's so cool as a kid. Okay, well, they've denied the trade, so they might actually be able to close this one out. I do think the Tower Rush is a strong strategy, and it's one that's really frustrating for new players, but I don't necessarily think it's too OP. But it's definitely hard for players to get used to. Holy moly. I think it'd be weird just for people to have to get used to a Tokaraka. Well, with their trade line down, that should be it, right? Because it's such a pain in the butt to rebuild this. So hard. They're going to try anyway, of course. And now the battle elephants are in the economy, so I think this game's basically over. Yeah, I gotta get some good sleep tonight. Whew. I felt a lot healthier as a person since I cut my live streams down to 2 games instead of 3. I think that was like really unhealthy. It was just so bad for me.
Yes.
Dude, today though, this has been crazy. This is something as well that I've been talking to Zero Empires about. You know, say what you will about Zach, whether or not you like his casting or you approve everything he's done. He works so hard, unbelievably hard. GG, well played, yes! Oh, congratulations, Akino, the Teal Khmer, as well as Orange or Shogun, and Sleepy Swede for playing an immaculately well-crafted game. This was so close. Everyone played so well. Well played as well, Pete, Telemachus, and Fitchel. What was I talking about? I was talking about something like me cutting down the stream time a little bit and feeling like, oh yeah, Zero Empires works extremely hard. I cannot believe that he casts the entire Escape Gaming tournaments. And he does like administration stuff for it. I know he has staff to help him and like us to help co-cast with him, but for like 3 days straight, he's casting for like 9 hours a day. How is he still alive? I think he should give himself a break. Like a break between it. So yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. But you know, we're all really passionate people. We care so much about the game, which is why we die here casting for hours. GG, well played. It was really good. I do think that Mass Portuguese Gunpowder with Ballistics is strong, Reveal a Hamster, but it's been nerfed a lot. But I do think it's strong, and I think it should be strong, because that's one of the things that makes the Civ so unique and interesting. Enters us, have you thought about any improvements to health bars? That would be a luxury change, but it could be interesting, such as a reload bar for catapults, always show health bar options. That's what a Super Aoe2 Super HD Edition should have, in my opinion. I think the UI could be improved for this game. I think that we'd be less likely to have that in AoE2, just because it'd be pretty difficult to program from a data standpoint, because I don't think we have much of a precedent for that, but yeah, that's an interesting idea, I like it. G-Man asks, Wallace, what quantity of food and wood should you float to start making, what quantity of food and wood should you, that you're floating, should you start to kill off villagers to make space for military? I mean, you should definitely attribute it to your teammates first, but, you know, I'd say if you have more than a couple thousand, you know, if you have like 10k of anything, that probably have too many villagers on that specific one, but I attribute it to your teammates first, and if they don't need it, then start clearing out some villagers for sure. Arpel asks, if Ola Raja says, which civ do you feel like fits the most in Jack of all trades civilization? That's a really good question. Ah, jeez. That's tough. I mean, really, none of them kind of do. So, yeah, because the Burmese have, like, crap archer range, but good everything else. The Khmer, they got a good stable, but the rest of their stuff is a little bit lacking. But I guess they do make units from most of their buildings. But they're pretty niche. The Malay have a terrible stable outside of their battle elephants. The Vietnamese, I guess, have decent units from everything, so maybe the Vietnamese. But they're really an archer civilization. That's where all their bonuses lie, or most of them. So maybe the Vietnamese, because they have like champions and halbs. They've got battle elephants. They have cavaliers. You know, they got the bloodlines and stuff. They got arbs, imperial skirms. Maybe the Vietnamese. But really, I don't feel like any of them feel like a super jack of all trades civ. Maybe the Burmese do if you count their, don't count their archer range. Great game, though. I mean, like, you know, all of them have a wide variety of things they can do, but they all have some holes. Wow, that's a lot of units lost for green, but that's the Goss, man. Hey, Vanla, Misty Man, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. You did IRL ask if there are any plans for Aoe2 health bar options. Again, that's a luxury, but I'd love that. You know what we should do? I should start. I'm gonna alt tab right now. I should be. If I listen to a document, I mean, I know I have a document on this, but you know, Aoe2 health bars option would be nice. The thing is though, right now is that the focus on HD is just polish, polish, polish. Once multiplayer feels super stable, performance is excellent. We have an improved spectator mode, then we can start looking into things like that. I do like the idea of having an always show health bars on option, though. I like that, yeah. So yes, great idea, Manners. Hello, Ready Teddy as well. Hello, Rusted Bra. Never trade don't need it. Oh, that was a good game. That was exhausting, though. You can find links to all the good stuff by scrolling below if you're watching live on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to follow us on Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. Links on the screen. I will once again plug the Forgotten Empires YouTube channel in the chat. Encourage you guys to check it out. I'll post the VODs from today's stream there within a week or so. Just gonna meter it out. Ah, that sounds great, Vanla. Life catches up with all of us, my friend. I'm just really glad that my life happens to allow me to tie into this. I'm really thankful for that. And hope that I can continue to make ends meet so that is possible. Twitter Programmer says, really appreciate the effort to fix multiplayer. Indeed, indeed. Thank you. I'll tell Skybox as well that we appreciate it. And thank you, Sig is Best Gun, for subscribing to my Twitch page, as well as Don000. Okay, that's all for today. I'm exhausted. That was a long game. And I'll post it on YouTube within a week or so. So, thanks so much for tuning in, supporting the devs, supporting myself, supporting the Age of Empires 2 community, and just being awesome, wonderful, pleasant people. I hope to see you all in the future. We had so many new faces today. Can't wait to see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I hope you enjoy your games on the battlefield. GG, well played. Hello for Bricks.